Hello again, in this video I'm going to talk about two things. First, how to have sliding notes in FL Studio using Serum 2 with the same method I used in my previous video with Vital. I recently acquired this Serum license while traveling the 7 seas and actually the settings are a bit different, so I'm gonna show you in detail how to do it. Then in the second part of this video, I'm gonna talk about why this method isn't actually that great. While doing tests with Serum, I found more issues with it. So I'm gonna show you another method that you can use to have sliding notes. It's a bit more cumbersome to use, but it fixes most of the issues, so you might be interested with it. First of all, a reminder, as you may know, the sliding notes in FL Studio won't work with VST plugins like Serum or Vital. As you can see, I have sliding notes here, but if I play, they won't work. But there is a way to make them work using internal tooling and plugins in FL Studio. So first, we're gonna replace Serum with Patcher. Patcher is not mandatory for this. Again, I just find it more intuitive and more compact for this kind of stuff, but you can do it without using Patcher. And in Patcher, we're gonna add our plugin, our Serum 2. There. Next, in Serum, we're gonna select something less aggressive, less a wave. We're gonna right-click on our oscillator and disable pitch tracking. Then we're gonna pick a macro. I'm gonna pick the macro one and link it to the coarse pitch here. The coarse pitch, we're gonna double click and type 12. We're gonna up, then 3 octaves. We're gonna see why later. Then in matrix, we're gonna double click here and tap 75%. It's very important. Now, our macro one will handle the whole pitch of our oscillator. Then in Patcher, we're gonna right click here, go to Input, Parameters, and enable the macro one. It should be the last tweaked, otherwise it's the item number 441. Let's activate it. Then, just like last time, we're gonna add an envelope controller. In our envelope controller, we're gonna get rid of this point and this point because 2 are needed, just like last time. There we go. The second one being our sustain. Base all the way down to 0. Enable unipolar product. Then go to keyboard mapping. Enable the snap feature is gonna be more easy for you. This point all the way down to 0. And we're gonna add a third point on the C8 note, this line here. And all the way down to the top. Then, in our controller, outputs, controller, activate articulator 1, and we link those two. Now, just like last time, our envelope controller handles the whole pitch of our Serum. Like here, like so. And since the envelope controller can handle sliding notes, if I play our melody, let's show it that way. It works just fine. So just like last time, we have a few caveats that you should be aware of. First of all, we still cannot play 2 notes at the same time, because the Fruity Envelope controller cannot handle 2 notes at the same time. This is not a big deal because, like last time, you can always clone your patcher and it will work without any issue. Then we have the same range limitation we had with Vital, so from C0 to C8. In theory, it should be possible to have a bit more than that, as you see here, the problem being that in practice you cannot set it to the exact value that we need for this, so it's the same limitation. The real big problem that will come with Serum 2 is that the bass note of Serum is way lower than the one of Vital. So we have to up the pitch by 4 octaves, so 3 octaves here and 12 semitones here, to have something coherent with what we want to play and have a bit more room to play our melody. So as we see here, our bass note is C5. We have 3 octaves to work with. If you need more range in the oscillator, you can always sacrifice an octave here and play your melody an octave up in the piano roll. And here you have, as you can see, only 2 octaves to work with. So the new big problem that I found with this method is that because now the pitch is handled by a plugin external to Serum 2, there will always be a slight delay between the moment Serum 2 receives a MIDI event and the moment when a Fruity Envelope controller tells it to change its pitch. Plus, the pitch change in itself is not instantaneous. This means that for far apart notes, you will always hear a small slide, even if you never told it to slide. So this is a pattern where you will be able to hear it quite well. The green notes will always play correctly, but the blue notes, since there is a pitch change, will always have a slight slide, even if, as you can see, they are not slide notes. And as you might expect, this is a big problem because it will ruin the attack of your notes and cause phase issues. Like here I have a Serum instance with phase randomization set to 0. If I play this pattern I showed you with Patcher and this Serum instance, the waveform has a big problem. So I found another method to make the sliding notes work. For this method, we'll let Serum or Vital handle the pitch, and we'll use the Fruity Envelope controller not to automate the coarse pitch of the oscillators, but to automate the pitch bend of the whole Serum or Vital instance. It will be a bit trickier to set up, at least the first time, but it will fix most of the issues. So let's start with an empty patcher. This time patcher will be mandatory for this because unfortunately the tools we're gonna use cannot work outside of patcher. And the first one of these tools we're gonna use is the keyboard splitter. It's in the patcher section here, keyboard splitter. This first part is the most tedious, but we'll only need to set it up once, then we'll save the preset and load it back up every time we need it. So now in our keyboard splitter we're gonna place some points. And be very careful, you're gonna have to place them in exactly the way I show you, because this tool being a bit buggy, if you don't place them in exactly the right way, it will start to act randomly and play some notes you don't want to hear. It's really annoying, it took me hours to figure it out, so yeah, be very careful with the placements of the points. So we're gonna start with the zone number 1, it's the first one selected by default. We're gonna put those 2 points down. We're gonna zoom next on the C1 octave and put 2 points here and here so that the zone between those 2 points includes both C1 and C2. Then we're gonna add a point after C1 and a point before C2. Those last points, we put them all the way to the top. And this is very important. Be sure that all those points are in the single curve mode. Otherwise, it's gonna cause a lot of problems. Next, we're gonna go to the zone number 2, and we'll repeat the same process, but now with the C2 octaves, so the zone between C2 and C3. We're gonna add a point here and here, all the way to the top, all the way to the top. We're in single curve mode, perfect. Then zone number 3, and you probably guessed it, now the zone between C3 and C4. And we'll keep doing this until we reach the zone number 9. There we go. Now if we zoom out, it should look something like this, and the last zone ends on C10. Next step, we're still in the zone number 9. This zone, we're gonna transpose it 4 octaves down. Then we'll go to the zone number 8, transpose it 3 octaves down. Zone number 7, 2 octaves, 6, 1 octave, and 5, no transpose. Then 4 is going to be 1 octave up, 3, 2 octaves up, and you guessed it, 2 is going to be 3 octaves up, and 1 is going to be 4 octaves up. There we go. Next, we're going to move this aside, and we're going to activate all our zones. Let's activate them all. We're going to sort them out in a moment, don't worry. Then we're going to add another patcher tool, which is the key mapper. In our key mapper, on the C line, we're going to right click here, and all the other lines, we're going to right click on this column. That way they are all on C. That's all. Next, we're going to disconnect this, and we're going to connect all our zones to our key mapper. You can see here which zone you're selecting. So it's going to be 1 through 9. The 9th should be here. So there we go. Now we're going to go to output event and deactivate unused. So we're not bothered with them. So what does all of this do is first our keyboard splitter will transpose any note you play to the range of the C5 octave, the zone number 5, and send it to the key mapper, which in turn will transpose it to the C note, so the C5 note, which means that any note you will play with this setup will be a C5 note. It's important we do it that way, you will see later why. We're going to check if we did not make any mistake, at least visually. It seems that we are all good. And we're going to check it with Serum. It's important to use Serum for this second check. Or Serum or Vital, obviously. Let's connect it. Select like something like this. Go to our piano roll and let's scroll through the notes. This is what you should hear. Let's go all the way down. It's important to check every note from C10 to C1. If there is a mistake, you will hear a blank, a note not playing, a note playing too high, a note playing too low, or 2 notes playing at the same time. At this point, unfortunately, it's too late. The keyboard splitter is already bugged, and the only solution for this is right-click, delete, and start all over again for the keyboard splitter. Even if you close FL Studio and open it up again, this instance will be bugged and nothing can make it recover from it. So this is why it's very important that you make sure the points are all in the right place. Then the last piece of our puzzle will be the Fruity Envelope controller. Here. Gonna disconnect it, connect it here. And we're gonna place some points. Let's get rid of this one and this one. Just like before, 2 are enough for this. Base 2, 0, but this time we're gonna keep the bipolar product. Let's go to keyboard mapping. Let's click on C5 here to ensure that we are centered. Let's add a point here, this cross, and one here. This one is going to be here and here. It's not very important. There we go. Next, we're going to go to Articulator 2. We're not going to touch the bass or the bipolar mode. We're just going to go straight to Envelope. We're going to activate it. Then we're going to put this one here. We're going to delete this one. Our sustain is here. And we're going to do something a bit weird. Let's zoom in. We're going to add another point here. This one is going to be on hold. And we'll put it one line down, just like this. And the last point is going to be a single curve 3, and we'll put it all the way up there. And this is going to be the release of our pitch effect. You'll have to match it with the Serum release. So if your Serum release has like 3 bars, you're gonna put it here. If your Serum has no release, you're gonna put it here. So why do all of this? This will reset our pitch bend when we are releasing the note. Let's say we don't have the spike here. As you can see, it's a straight line. All the points are set to 0. It's on purpose because when we want to play the note, we don't want this envelope to change our pitch bend. But when we're releasing the note, we want it to actually change our pitch bend and reset it to 0. The problem being that since there is no value change between all those points, Fruity Envelope Controller will say, oh, all right, it's the same value. I won't send it again. It won't send any value whatsoever. So we're introducing a fake value change with this spike here. It's too short to be handled in time by anything else afterwards, but it will force Fruity Envelope Controller to update and reevaluate the envelope and send our reset value that we need. So now we are almost done. What's left to do first, this is to add our Serum. I'm gonna add Vital 2 so you can see how to set it up. Let's go Serum. In Serum, let's select, I don't know, this, an octave down. I'm gonna put phase randomization to 0. It's gonna be useful later to just see the results. This is gonna be to 24 and minus 24. Let's move the pitch bend so it's registered as the last tweaked control. So when we go to input parameters, it's here. There we go. Now let's add Vital. Vital. There we go. In Vital, it's bend. Let's go bend to 24 again. I'm gonna select something like a triangle. And same phase randomization just for the purpose of the demo. And move the pitch wheel. So the last tweaked parameter is pitch wheel. In our envelope controller, we're gonna activate the articulator 1 and 2, and we're gonna link them to the pitch wheels. I'm gonna show you afterwards how to make this a bit more compact and clear using surface and the knobs, so you don't have links going everywhere. There we go. Now it should work just fine. Now, if we go back to this pattern where we had our problem in the first place, as you can see, everything plays perfectly without any phase issues or weird pitch. Let's introduce sliding notes. And here. It works just fine. Let's show you what it looks in Vital. Example. Look at this. There we go. So why does this work? It's because with this setup here, as I said before, every note you play will be transposed to a C5 note. But these plugins will still detect the sliding notes and they will interpret it as a movement relative to the note being played, which is C5. Which means that if we connect them to an envelope controller with this mapper here, the only time where this will move is when a sliding note is playing. And the value that we can retrieve from this mapper can be directly linked to a pitch wheel, which means that whatever note we play here, a sliding note will always move the pitch bend to the exact amount of semitones that you set up in the piano roll. This is exactly as if you had a Serum or Vital external to patcher, and we linked the pitch bend here to an automation clip. By the way, you can do this using this knob here. This knob, as you can see, will control the pitch bend. So if we set it to 24 and we create an automation clip, we can move the pitch bend. The problem being that it's using obnoxious percentages, which is just unusable to have an exact note that you want to play. So this method will use the same ID but link it to the piano roll, so we don't have to use percentages to move the pitch bend. So, is this method perfect? Unfortunately, no, there is a catch. It's a smaller catch and there is a workaround, but I think you should be aware of it. I'm back at the very first pattern we used, and I'm going to change it a bit so you can hear the problem quite well. Listen closely when it reaches this note. Did you hear the click? This will happen every time you play a note right after a sliding note, like here in this case. The workaround is simply to zoom in and remove 1 microstep, maybe 2 if you still hear it. And there we go. And this you will also hear it if you use an automation clip. It's less of a click and more of a blank, but it's still there. For example, here in this pattern, I have 2 notes side by side and an automation clip for the pitch with a hard reset. If I disable it, it looks like this. And if I enable it, it's a bit more subtle, but you can still hear a clear discontinuity between the 2 notes. And you can also see it on the waveform. And why is this happening? First of all, no, it's not linked to this release envelope, because as you can see, I'm gonna disable it. Let's open Serum and let's go to this pattern here. I'm gonna remove this note and you will be able to see that the pitch wheel will not reset itself when this note is released, but when this note is played. But you will still be able to hear the click. So to me, the problem is the same we had with the first method, which is that there is a slight delay between the moment Serum and Vital receive notes and the moment Fruity Envelope Controller tells them to reset their pitch bend. And this wouldn't be so worrying if it weren't for the fact that I have the exact same delay when I'm using automation clips. I mean, for this setup, I'm using only internal tooling and very little of it, and I still have a 50 milliseconds delay between events. I mean, I find it baffling, sorry, what is this? But anyway, now what I suggest you do is go back here, remove Serum and Vital, and save this preset. Save as. I already saved it as sliding notes, as you can see. So every time you need it, you can just reload it and put everything into it as you want. So now a quick tip to organize a bit your patcher. Now that you have to use it for this method, you might be interested in having it a bit more clean and not having links going everywhere. What you can do is add a patcher inside your patcher, and in this sub-patcher you can add your Serum and Vital. It will work exactly the same. And let's do the bare minimum so you see what I mean. Let's go to input parameters last tweaked, Vital, input parameters last tweaked. There we go. Of course, you could stop there and go to inputs parameters and you will see the parameters you just activated in your patcher. But this will still be a bit cumbersome to use because you have all these parameters you still need to link. So you can even go a bit further and use Surface to add a knob here. The first knob is just perfect. You don't need to do anything more than that. Disable the edit mode and right click to activate. Now we go to map and we can link this knob to our pitch wheel, and then here we can activate in our parameters the knob. Now we only need to link the envelope controller to this knob and it will automatically move our pitch wheel that way. Yeah, I know it's ugly, but you see the point. Oh yeah, and before I forget, the cool thing with this method is now you are able again to play 2 notes or more, obviously, at the same time and pitch them. Which is Kind of cool, I guess. It's not used every time, but it's there. So there you go. Now you have another method that you can use to have sliding notes. Even a third one, if we can, the automation clip, which is sometimes just what you need. I mean, if you don't want to be bothered with all the setups, or you just need a sliding effect, not a perfect pitch, or you're a freak and you love using percentages to pitch your notes, I mean, go for it. It depends on what you need, on your instruments, on the end result. You can switch techniques depending on your track. And yeah, lastly, never forget that you can always use the portamento effects in Serum and Vital. You enable mono, set porta time, and you leave always unchecked. So that way, it will not have a sliding effect unless you play two notes at the same time. Like for example, I put this here. Let's go with this. This can be another way to work around the issues we had before. With this, we'll not hear the famous click here, but we'll hear it here. So as I said, it's a bit limited because the slide is entirely dependent on this setting here. You cannot modify it in the piano roll, but it will work also. So yeah, that's it. Again, I'm no professional. I'm just having way too much free time at the moment. So yeah, don't hesitate to give me feedback if you find this useful or not useful, if you find ways to optimize it, easier to set up, or I don't know, maybe fix the clicking issue. Yeah, I'm all ears, really. But yeah, that's all.